Welcome to the Values Exchange podcast. I'm Mike Cruz, your host, author of Saturday Every Day, private pilot, and CEO of North Texas Wealth Management, a firm dedicated to values-based financial planning. In last episode, I promised you that we would talk about the amazing things going on in Dallas. And to do that, I have a special guest today. Cody Meyers is here with us from Children's Health. Huge project going on. So Cody, thanks for being here.
So excited to be here. This is actually like my first official podcast experience. So I'm like trying to take everything in, and this is such an amazing place. Thanks for having us.
Glad you're here. So, Cody, you're experienced fundraising professional. We actually met when you worked back at, North Texas Food Bank.
Yeah, it's been a couple years now.
Yeah. So, pretty, long history and just, I would say, like charitable work and fundraising. Pretty amazing. Obviously, the development officer at Children's Medical Center, and the foundation there, and then relationship building. I think that's kind of where you shine. If I had to try to put you in a box, I'm like, man, Cody knows everybody, building relationships.
Thank you.
Obviously, they pulled you in at Children's to help with that process. And then you're a certified fundraising executive. I had to look up your...
Yes, that's recent. That just happened like 2 weeks ago.
All right.
Yeah,
congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And then, obviously a North Texas advocate. And, being with North Texas, Wealth Management, we looked at this project is probably one of the most important things. So I won't spill the beans. I'll let you do that. But
sure.
Kind of help me understand the bigger picture of your background. So where did you actually kind of get started with? What led you down this charitable path?
Yeah, so it's so interesting because I think a lot of nonprofit professionals would be in my boat that we kind of fell into this profession. I am a North Texas native, grew up, born and raised in Denton, Texas, but did not go to UNT.
Okay.
Went to the very far, far land of Arlington, Texas, to UTA to study international business and French, which I now work very locally and only speak English every day. So really great value there. But awesome. When I was a freshman at UT Arlington, I actually met someone, shout out Carrie Russell, if you're watching, and she got me engaged at the Alumni Association at UTA doing student philanthropy. Okay. So I was actually raising funds for student scholarships from other students through membership activities, through activities that kind of promoted campus spirit. And that's really kind of where I fell into it. So after I graduated, I worked at the alumni office as a professional managing that student fundraising effort. And then I kind of got recruited everywhere since then. So my boss at UTA moved to UT Dallas. She was like, hey, I want you to come work for me at UT Dallas doing alumni relations. And I was like, okay, let's go. And then there I met Erica Yeager, who is the chief philanthropy officer at North Texas Food Bank. Okay. And she pulled me along and said, I want you to raise gifts for me at the North Texas Food Bank. And I said, okay, let's go. And then most recently met my coworker, Michelle Gross, at a luncheon. And she said, hey, we have this very, very hush-hush project, which we'll talk about shortly, I'm assuming. And she was like, we really need someone like you to join the team. They were filling out their fundraising team. Okay. And so invited me to come along there. So really, it's just a string of really incredible women who believed in me and believed in my efforts to build relationships and to make a difference in our community. So was really excited to, follow their lead and really take that to make Dallas a better place to live. Yeah. So specifically at Children's Health, I was very excited about this project that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But when I thought about moving to healthcare, from the food bank, which I'd been at the food bank the entire pandemic. So I started at the food bank January 2020, barely got my feet wet, and then March 2020 happened. And so really got thrown into hunger relief efforts and nonprofit work from a social services standpoint. So it was really hard to leave the food bank to go to Children's Health. But something that really stuck out to me was a story from my best friend Christy, her son Matthew, her second child Matthew, when he was 7 weeks old, was diagnosed with supraventricular tachycardia, SVT, which is like an electrical problem that in his heart that causes arrhythmia. So when he was 7 weeks old, he was having a bottle just a random night, and his heart beat so fast that it stopped.
Wow.
And so very traumatic experience for my friend. Her husband had to perform CPR on Matthew until the paramedics came. It was very touch and go. And I just remember kind of how helpless we all felt after that happened. And, I would go over every weekend after he got home from the hospital, trying to help, rock him to sleep and putting him back in the crib. And, kind of that anxiety of like, this could happen again at any moment. He had to have a heart monitor so that they would always know kind of what his heart was doing. Good news is he's better now. He had surgery earlier this summer to kind of fix the electrical issues. So he's up and on the mend, playing football with, the little South Lake Carroll football team. He's 7 years old now, doing great. But what made me really reflect on, should I make this move to children's was we are so blessed to live in a community that has access to such great healthcare.
Right.
And I think of if we lived in a rural area, would Matthew's outcome be the same?
Yeah.
If we didn't have access to a great pediatric hospital, if we didn't have access to a transport team that could get him from his house to the hospital quickly while maintaining his vitals. And so I really felt that pull that it was my time to kind of go and serve in honor of Matthew and all of the great care that he received, and his great outcome, and pay that forward to all of the families that come to Children's Health.
No, that's great. I think you found your purpose. I think you're in the right spot.
Thank you.
Children's is interesting to me. Actually, in high school, I wanted to be, pre-med at the time, and I actually volunteered as a candy striper.
Really?
And it wasn't the little thin stripes that they had, back when it started, but so I was relieved when I got there and they handed me this polo, and it was like this, huge red and white stripes. So I still had the stripes, and they gave me the job of helping people find their way around the hospital.
Very, very important job. It's easy to get lost.
I wish I was better at that job. I remember taking people the wrong way and going, maybe I shouldn't be doing this job. But no, it was great to give back. It was awesome to see the impact that Children's had. And, my brother had some health problems, and we were at Children's. And so it's pretty close to me that it really does make a difference, and Children's doing exciting things.
Yeah.
What is this project?
Earlier this February, we announced in partnership with our academic partner, UT Southwestern, the unveiling of a $5 billion new pediatric campus to replace the existing Children's Medical Center Dallas.
Wow.
That hospital has served us very well over the last 60 to 70 years, but the signs of age are starting to show. And looking at the rapid growth of this area, we know that now is the time to make an investment to make life better for children here in our community for decades to come.
That's great. So $5 billion with a B.
Yes, $5 billion with a B.
That's
yes.
huge. So when we think about the scope of that project, $5 billion, there's not really a whole lot of projects that big.
No, I think the one that comes to mind most recently that I saw was SoFi Stadium in California, which also had a price tag of about $5 billion. Yeah. So this not only is a huge investment for Children's Health and UT Southwestern, but also just represents our commitment to the future of this community.
Yeah. And I think when I heard the news, what was so impactful to me is thinking about Dallas-Fort Worth area and what this announcement really means. Economically, back in 2008 financial crisis, Dallas was fortunate enough to be very resilient.
Mm-hmm.
We had our property values decrease maybe 10%, but not like the rest of the country. And then 52% of all the jobs created were right here in Dallas, across the whole country. So I think, our Dallasites, we kind of think of 2008 and we're like, it wasn't so bad. It was for the rest of the country,
right,
but we were insulated.
Yeah.
So when I heard about this project, that's where my mind went was, wow, this is like the new opportunity for Dallas to stay insulated to the next market's, downturn or next market cycle. And really, even beyond that, it's going to be a growth opportunity, bring the best doctors and the best research. It's going to be the magnet, and just all the talent coming here. And then, of course, with that talent here, employers will want to then continue to move to Dallas and be right next to a state-of-the-art children's facility.
Yeah, I think something is interesting that you brought up. I think a lot of what brings economic growth here to North Texas is what is leading us to want to make this investment now, because all of those people moving to this area bring families with them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can see in the traffic behind us that, there's plenty of people here in North Texas, and we're definitely feeling the growth here in this area. Right now, we're still doing some economic modeling about the impact for this specific campus, but something that I did look up for you before this podcast is what we're doing today. Every year, Children's Health generates about $3.3 billion in economic activity for the DFW area. That's employers, that's, what you said, researchers, all of that. Is really brought on by Children's Health, and that's really, really exciting. I know that that's going to only grow with this new campus, and definitely one of the most exciting points for me. All of the researchers that we're going to bring here, all of the research that is going to happen here, it's all in our backyard. I think a lot of times people might think, oh, we're going to have to take our kid out of town, out of state to receive the care that they need, depending on the acuity of the illness that they have. And something that I'm very proud of to work for Children's Health is that life-saving treatment is happening in our backyard right here.
Absolutely.
And we want to remain committed to being that beacon of hope for a lot of families in our community. I think of the types of patients that we serve, and if they had to go elsewhere, I don't know many families who could afford to, take off for an extended period of time, rent a hotel in another town just so that their kid could get care. I think there's a lot of economic issues in that sense that people are trying to navigate in the healthcare system. So the fact that we're investing now to have the best of the best, we're really, really, excited to make that commitment.
Okay, so when we say backyard, so where exactly is this new facility going to be built?
So right in the heart of the Southwestern Medical District facilities. So if you're familiar with Clements University Hospital off of Harry Hines, right across the street from there, if you drive by Forest Park and Harry Hines right now, you'll see a giant pit.
Okay.
That giant pit will soon be the home of this new pediatric campus. It is absolutely massive. It is going to span more than 33 acres, and just the square footage, 4.5 million square feet. The campus is going to feature 2 12-story towers and then 1 8-story tower that has room to grow up to 12 stories as demand requires. So already planning for the future, we know that North Texas is going to continue to be a hotspot for economic activity and family growth. So love the forward thinking there.
Yeah. So massive. This thing's going to be so big.
Absolutely incredibly large.
So I feel sorry for the next candy striper. It has to give directions.
Well, literally each one of those towers is going to be 100 yards long. So think of it, there'll be one thoroughfare throughout the whole campus. That's 300 yards, 3 football fields that you'd be able to walk. We will definitely be getting our steps in.
Wow.
I took your advice and updated my Apple Watch just in time to get the steps in. So speaking of how large this new campus is, we will now have 552 beds for our patients. That's a 38% increase from where we're at right now.
Okay.
And then our emergency department, which is kind of where that entry point for a lot of our patients is also going to be growing. We'll have 90 patient exam rooms there, which will make this like one of the largest emergency departments in the country. So very, very excited. We want to make sure that that our patients and families have a seamless experience. We're definitely feeling the strain right now of the growth of the community in our emergency department. We actually just recently finished at Children's Medical Center Dallas an emergency department revival. So it's now 2 stories. We finished that project a few years ago, just to kind of meet the demands for now as we're waiting for this campus to finish being built. Looking at end date around 2031 for opening. So we'll see you there, I'm sure, cutting the ribbon. But it will take quite a while to build that hospital after we're done digging all of the dirt out.
Yeah, huge project.
Very, very big project. Something else that I'm super excited for is a lot of the natural elements that are being incorporated into the campus. So the medical district and all of Dallas, as you know, has a lot of concrete. And we know that, there's a lot of healing power to nature and natural elements in design. So if you were paying attention earlier in May, we announced a very large gift in support of this campus from the Pogue family to name Pogue Park. Pogue Park will be the whole hospital campus. And it's been informed by feedback from all areas. So patients were able to give feedback on what they wanted to see around the campus, families, physicians, caregivers, and we will be integrating a lot of natural light into the building, as well as elements that will help reduce stress and foster healing for our patients. So in the renderings, you'll see on some of the floors, there are some outdoor patios that families can go and experience, just some respite outside, maybe with some trees, maybe with some greenery, but then the whole campus will have a walking trail around it. Just a really nice place to relax, get out of the hospital, and hopefully use that time to heal and get better. So
that's great.
Yeah, very, very exciting. I did want to play a game with you though.
Okay.
Because it's so fun working for a kids hospital, because talking about how large this project is, it's kind of hard for a tiny mind to comprehend. So we put some of the metrics in ways that kids would be able to understand. So I'm going to start with some fast facts, and I'll start you off with an easy one, actually. Is this building, so tall, how tall it is it going to be taller or shorter than the Statue of Liberty?
That's awesome.
Just think, 12 stories.
Yeah, 12 stories.
Yeah, 12 stories.
So let's say taller.
Bingo.
All right.
Congratulations.
That's huge.
Yeah. So how many Lego blocks would it take to build this campus?
Okay. To build the entire campus.
4.5
million square feet. Yeah, I don't know, 1 billion Legos.
Okay, you cheated. You're looking at my scorecard here.
Let's
More
do
than a billion. Yeah,
Okay.
more than a billion
More than a
Legos.
billion, okay.
So we'll go back to height, but this time it's going to be very specific. How many Oreos tall will this new campus be? We'll do the 12-story tower, one of the two 12-story towers.
Let's say 250,000 Legos or Oreos.
Just 280 or 2,880 Oreos.
Oh, okay.
So I guess,
He's stacked.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just a small snack for me. But
Right.
I love an Oreo. We already talked about AT&T Stadium, so larger, smaller than AT&T Stadium. Let's see if you were listening.
Yeah, so it should be slightly larger.
Yes, slightly larger. Good job. And then how many Boeing 737 planes long is the hospital? Now, this one might not be for kids because just how many airplanes?
Yeah.
We'll do that.
We'll say 5.
Nearly 6. So,
6, okay.
Yeah, in between 5 and 6. So you did really well. I'm really impressed by that.
Yeah.
Very good spatial awareness.
All right. Hey,
Yes.
tiny mind. I did okay. All right.
Are you
That's
smarter
great.
than a 5th grader?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Now that we're done playing that game, I do want to call attention to our northern market. I know that your office is up in Allen, if I
Allen, that's
remember
right.
correctly.
Yeah.
So our Children's Medical Center Plano actually just cut the ribbon on a new patient tower that's tripling the bed space for our patients up in Plano, Frisco, Prosper.
Yeah.
Super excited to offer care closer to home for kids. Right now, if you look any just random day on the census, on average in Dallas, about 60 to 70 kiddos have a zip code that's in our northern market, but they're being treated in Dallas, and they don't necessarily have the acuity needs of the Dallas hospital. So we know that with this new patient tower that opened, we'll be able to get some of those kids closer to home, closer to their families, so that they can get the care that they need and be on to, you know, being regular kids after their care is done. So super excited about that. You actually could see it on the Dallas North Tollway at nighttime. There's a whole light display. Each of the kids' rooms have different LED lights that they can change depending on their mood. So as you're driving north on Dallas North Tollway, you can see, look to your right, you could see all of the different colors of the Plano Tower. Super cool construction project that we just finished up there. There definitely will be more renderings that come out. I think one of the best pieces of the campus you'll see when you look at the renderings across Harry Hines Boulevard, connecting us to UT Southwestern Clements University Hospital, will be a bridge to give patients who are high risk the access to get directly over to our NICU from UT Southwestern. So a lot of times, and I hear this with some of our grateful patient families, our mothers will find out in utero that there is an illness or something wrong with their child that will require them to need medical attention immediately after birth. So I have a donor that I work with right now. Her 2-year-old daughter had a heart issue and needed to go to our cardiovascular ICU as soon as she was born. The way that the story went was that their daughter was born. The mother did not get to hold her daughter, and the daughter was put on an ambulance with the father immediately and sent to Children's. So you can imagine the anxiety of just giving birth, not even getting to hold your baby, the panic of like, okay, I'm being separated from my child and I have to focus on healing at a different hospital while my baby is at Children's getting the best care that they could receive.
Not what you'd want.
Not what you would want. And it's, I mean, such a traumatizing experience for the family and very risky for the child to be transported so young, especially when they have they could have any number of ailments or very high acuity needs. So this connector bridge will only be for medical professionals and for patients. It's not going to be for pedestrian use, but it will be one short walk away from Clements University Hospital into our NICU or our cardiovascular ICU, really enhancing, patient care and making sure that the family kind of gets to stay as close as possible.
That's great.
So we're very, very excited about that. And I think it will be a really cool feature as you're driving down Harry Hines to just see that collaboration between UT Southwestern and Children's Health displayed in a physical manner.
Yeah. No, it's great. And so help me understand, what is that big advantage UT Southwestern does that's going to help children?
Yeah, so we've been partners for over 60 years. And this is kind of what sets Children's Health apart from a lot of other pediatric healthcare facilities in the region as well as the country. We are academically affiliated with UT Southwestern. So the majority of our physicians are UT Southwestern staff. So we train through the pediatric rotations, all of their residents, which is really cool. So we are a teaching hospital for pediatrics. That gives us access to some of the brightest minds. It gives us access to a lot of the really amazing research that's happening across the street. And really, it leads to really great outcomes for our kids because we have the best of the best working on some of these really complex problems. Like I mentioned, we've been together for 60 years, but this new campus project, we actually are coming at together, really renewing our commitment to each other to build this hospital. I think I've heard our foundation president, Brent Christopher, talk about it like a marriage. We've been married for 60 years, and some days the flame doesn't seem to be burning as brightly as others, but we saw this need for our children in this community, and we went back to the altar in front of everyone and said we are committed to building this campus together for the future of North Texas. So
renewing the vows.
Yes, renewing the vows. I'm sure it happened. Signing that documentation happened on a beach somewhere. Very, very beautiful outlook. But we really are excited to be doing this jointly with such a great, reputable organization like UT Southwestern.
Yeah, no, it's significant. And so I don't think I even realized that Children's was funded by a nonprofit organization. So talk to me a little bit about the funding, and how does all of that kind of the process work?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because it really is a misconception. A lot of people, when they receive a hospital bill, are like, "Oh, I thought."
Yeah,
how is this a nonprofit if I'm receiving a hospital bill? But Children's, like many other not-for-profit hospital systems, have a multitude of revenue streams, really for two reasons. We want to make sure that we're focusing on our mission to make life better for children, but also we need to make sure that our revenue stream is diverse so that we can continue serving on that mission for generations to come. So we receive funding through those insurance payments, through Medicaid, through cash payments from our patients. Another piece of how the hospital receives funding, all of the excess revenue that we receive is invested into an endowment that's managed by our chief investment officer, Ken Lee. Super great guy. You had an opportunity to meet him a couple months ago, I believe. He's super great. We love the work that his office is doing, really making sure that we're getting great returns on those investments to pay for some of these bigger projects like we have here at Children's Medical Center Dallas. Philanthropy, of course, plays a significant role in the work that we do at Children's Health. Funds raised from our community allow us to provide wraparound services for our patients. So you can think of things like music therapy. You can think of things like art therapy, our therapy dogs, which are a very popular component of the hospital stay, and pastoral care, spiritual care, all of that kind of family support stuff. Then we also have philanthropy to help us with our research efforts with UT Southwestern. So we have a fund that we've set up, the Children's Research Institute with UT Southwestern. So philanthropic funds can help, identify some of those really great cures and methodology that helps at the bedside. And then, like we talked about, philanthropy obviously will help us with capacity needs. So we need to build this new hospital. Philanthropy plays a big role in making sure that our facilities are up to date and able to serve our patients and their families well.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's interesting. I actually have an upcoming podcast. We're going to talk about kind of the changes in charitable giving.
Yeah.
And it used to be that, you found your favorite charity and you just give to that charity. And now it's become very fragmented in that most donors kind of want to create their own foundation.
Yeah.
And, it's a donor advised fund. I mean, as a financial planner, I can set one up for a client very easily. And then they donate to it. We manage the funds, and then we give like an annual amount. How has that kind of changed kind of your focus, and like, how do you go out there and actually raise money? I think most of wealth managers play a really big role in that today.
They really do. And I think it's so important for relationship managers, development professionals to have strong relationships with wealth advisors, because just some of the way that taxes are working, it's more beneficial for your clients to maybe set up a donor advised fund. And, maybe in 1 year they aren't looking to give to any specific charity, but they can still get that write-off by giving to their donor advised fund and advising through that account. I think it really is on us to educate the community about what the needs are for organizations like Children's Health. And one of the things that I'm excited about for this new pediatric campus project is that it really is going to take everyone. We've already announced 2 lead gifts for the project. We talked a little bit earlier about the Pogue gift, $100 million to set up Pogue Park. And we announced earlier in October a second $100 million gift from the Reese Jones family to name one of the towers after their family foundation. So I think a lot of times people might see that in the news and say, oh, well, Children's Health doesn't need any support of mine because they're getting support from these large, families. But looking at the size and the scope of this project, it really is going to take everyone who has a heart for children, who has a heart for healthcare, just like you said, who has a heart for North Texas and wants to see North Texas be this economic engine to come together and really support this project. Because when you support this project, you are supporting future generations of children to come.
Yeah, no, it's so important. And I just, I love the mission.
Yes.
Right?
Make life better for children.
Make life better for children.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, it's hard not to get behind that. It's great. So, those that want to, maybe do their part and be a part of this great project, where would they go to find more information, get involved, donate, whatever? Yeah.
So internet's going to be the best place to start.
Sure.
You can go to our website, give.childrens.com.
Okay.
And multitude of resources there. In the nonprofit world, we talk about 3 buckets, and you've probably heard some of these before: time, talent, treasure. So great volunteer opportunities at the hospital to get plugged in, as well as at the foundation as well. A number of events happen throughout the year. We need help with check-in, registration, volunteer opportunities for companies like North Texas Wealth Management. We have a great corporate relations team that can do volunteer opportunities on site at your office to help support children at the hospital. Super great opportunities there. The treasure, obviously, we're looking at donations. It's going to take a lot of money to build this hospital. And that's donations large and small. So you can visit the website to learn more about that. If construction and building this new campus is what you'd like to do, there's an opportunity for you to do that. And that by and far is our largest priority right now, is getting funds for that. But if that is not something that you want to do and you want to host a toy drive, there's opportunities to do that, especially during the holiday season. We want to make sure that those kids are taken care of if they're spending the holidays with us. Right. And then special shout out to some of your listeners. I know that you have a lot of other wealth managers who listen to this podcast. We have a newly formed Advisors Alliance, which you've actually come to both of the meetings. Okay. I have to give a shout out to Mike really quickly, though. I remember last year we had our first Advisors Alliance breakfast. And we had Brian Klontz come in and talk about, 10 trends that are happening in wealth management and philanthropy. Shout out to Brian Klontz if you're not listeing to his stuff.
And he's going to be on my podcast.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Well, I'll have to come and say hi to him. Love Brian. But I love when Mike showed up. One of my friends, Kathleen, who's also a wealth manager over at Orchid Advisory, she was introducing herself to you. Mike said, I don't know what's going on here today. Cody told me that I needed to be here, so I'm here.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I was like, Cody told me to show up. I'm trying to figure out what are we doing.
Yes, so I appreciate that type of go-getter energy. But the Advisor Alliance is such a great opportunity for wealth managers to network. I mean, we had 50 to 60 wealth managers at that kickoff event in September to hear from that panel of moderators about the campus, about why it's important to give back. But we need everyone who is passionate about this type of work to be advocates for children's health. I recently just got to work with one of my wealth manager friends. She had a client who was just asking what's happening in Dallas right now. I have to give this money away, as you probably have those conversations with your clients. I have to give this money away, and I want to make an impact. I want to make a very big impact. Can you tell me what's going on in Dallas? And this advisor had just come to our groundbreaking ceremony. So touching. We had a beautiful tribute from one of our patients. She actually wrote a letter to the Reese Jones family to talk about how impactful her journey had been at Children's Health and how it wouldn't have been possible without them. And
that's great.
Just so touching. So she was able to speak to that experience and say Children's Health is really doing something big and something that's going to make a big impact in the community. And her client said, sign me up. And we got $100,000 gift from that. So very, very excited to do that. So if anyone is interested in learning more about giving back to children's, either on their own or they are a wealth manager and want more information about the Alliance, they are free. Feel free to reach out to me. Mike has my contact information. I'm sure that we'll put it on the YouTube channel or whatnot, but we're happy to have you by for a tour of the hospital, maybe to look at, we have a vision center that you can come and see and look at renderings of the new hospital.
Nice.
Really talk deeply about what this is going to mean for the community, and would love to meet anyone who's interested in talking about pediatric healthcare.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Cody, thanks for being here, and kind of educating us on what's going on in Dallas. And I can't think of anything really bigger than Children's Health, giving back with time, talent, or treasure, or getting involved and being a part of helping children improve their lives.